to be Barnier here in the box. Good play, Barnier, and looking for some support. And there you have it. It is Salif Ibrahim with a goal. Salif Ibrahim replies. Quality play. Barnier, he always has a way of getting the ball into the good areas. Injecting some fresh legs into the game here. Denchi. Oh, lovely. How to focus. Score. The second goal eventually comes across the photograph. And I tell you what, it is Eddie Boateng who gets the second goal for Accra Folk. Great cross there from the left full back.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Hearts We Trust channel. And yeah, we're here to talk about the Accra Folk issues. But of course, if it's your first time of joining us, you want to subscribe, share. We love to do this when we get into Phobia Tactical. We talk about the game that's been played and look at the trends, and so that you can understand all of that. I normally, can understand the fans in the stands, screaming, this player didn't do well, that player didn't do well, but we try to put all of that together so you can understand what the coach is trying to do and where it's coming from. And it's always good to have my friend Kofi Bolassie alongside me, because he's able to give us the picture plus. And this is why you have to listen to us, because it's not only about the picture, what's happening on the page, but you have the background to what is going on, from the technical side. Yeah, and that's the point. Kofi, how you doing?
Well, I'm good. I mean, at least there was something to smile about today, or after the game. So yeah, I mean, I'm feeling better than before.
Yeah. It was actually a much needed win, because the team needed some confidence from somewhere. And I was saying in commentary that, look, anyhow, any shape, any matter, what the team needed was just a win to believe that they can win again. So from that point of view, it was great to see the team go out there and win. Maybe just off the issues, the profligacy is the issue with Accra Hearts.
It's a big issue.
So put the chances in place. So let us start. Yeah. Maybe should we start? Let's start with it, because I think this is what's on everyone's mind. So let's start with it. Let's start with the profligacy issue.
Yeah.
And chances
and then there are other two very key issues that I also like to address. I'm sure after we talk about the profligacy, then
yes, we'll get into it. Good. So let's start with that. Let's look at the attacking department and in the way the team tried to set up today. Yes, it was Kofi Koji, there was Isaac Mensah, there was Barnier, and Salif Ibrahim looked like he was really, really in the game today. He had a taste of it, but I think he got injured in the process and wasn't able to return to the pitch there. And then there was Salim Adams and there was Ansah Butri, just to look at what was up there for us. Now tell me, how did you see it? And why do you think we're not getting the goals into the net?
But well, before I get into the forwards and how do we not able to convert as much as the fans would want, I have to address this issue. You remember we spoke about the player who's supposed to sit in front of the defense. And we spoke about the fact that Emmanuel Nenti is not a player in his profile that can sit in front of the defense. He's not disciplined enough. He lacks awareness sometimes and wants to do what he wants to do. But if a player has that profile, you don't put him in front of the defense, because that position demands a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work, a lot of awareness. You have to be aware of what's happening around you. Because if you lose the ball, most of your players are pushed forward, and that will be against your team. And I also made a point that Boedu's assessment of Salim Adams, in my view, was wrong, because he says that Salim Adams is not a DM. He's a box-to-box player. Salim Adams, for me, or in my opinion, is very slow, but he's very intelligent as well, can pass the ball very well, can read the room and all that. And we saw that in the game against the Algerians today. So it was good to see that Samuel Boedu has had a reassessment of what Salim Adams can do, and today he put him in front of the defense, and that also gave the chance for Frederick Ansah and Salifu to do their thing, to explore in advanced areas, while Salim Adams sat in front of the defense. Yes, he can improve. He's very young, but the quality is there, and I'm happy that Samuel Boedu now realizes that he can play in front of the defense. And so even if Neti is fit again, or Neti he feels that Neti has to come and play a game, he would not slot him in the DM position, but push him in the advanced areas where he did well last season with Ifutu. So that's about that. And let's talk about the forwards. I mean, the the profligacy issue in the country or in football. In
I like
very,
to say the country, yeah, because it's a it's a nationwide
it's not
issue
limited to us at all.
on black stars everywhere. Yeah.
Somebody says that the top striker in the team, in the national team, has not scored a goal this year.
Yeah.
It shows you how we are struggling with goals as a nation. I mean, players abroad, players in Africa, players in the top leagues, players within the country, Division 1, Division 2, even coast football. We are struggling with finishing. And I think you need a deeper conversation more than the whole day to find solutions to this problem. And these solutions will even be long-term. But now, the players that we are producing have no, efficiency in terms of finishing. Their idea of finishing, the execution, the technique is lacking behind. I mean, other countries have better finishers. Other even countries, look at Adebayo from, Niger.
Yeah.
Excellent player.
Yeah.
He's not from, a footballing country, but his finishing is up there. The problem with finishing with this country is that they are not composed enough when the chance comes in front of them. They are not composed. Their decision-making is non-existent. And therefore, for a chance where you have to please the ball, they'll go for power. For, a chance where you have to chip the goalkeeper, they'll go for placement. So, I mean, the decision-making of our forwards generally in the country is bad. So if you zoom into Accra Sofo, it's terrible. In the last episode, we spoke about Phobia Tactical. He scored just 3 goals in the league last season. And for any forward, that's terrible numbers. Isaac Mensah just scored 5. That's not good enough. Yes, he came from the Division 1 league, but it's not good enough to score 5 the whole season. Kofi Bolassie scored a couple of goals in UAE, but he's back. He scored just 2, and now he's missing a lot of chances. So I can't really pinpoint what exactly is wrong with our finishing, but there's a finishing problem. How would we solve it? I mean, going forward, the solution. I think, in my opinion, not an expert opinion, of course, that Wedu or the coaches have to draw a plan for them. I mean, it's very difficult to even teach finishing at this high level because for other teams in the advanced countries, they have attacking coaches, about 3 or 4 of them, who can work with the forwards at training sessions. The Ghanaian technical team, in terms of football clubs, we are not staffed to that strength. We are understaffed. Wedu alone cannot be taking care of the forwards, the midfielders, and the defense together with Hamza. That's too much job on them because you have to be looking at the tactical shape of the team at this high level because this is Hasselhoff first team. And so you will get very limited time for individual players or individual departments. And I think that he has to, as a makeshift solution, he has to draw a plan for them so that they do it individually outside training hours. Either they come early before the normal training sessions begin and they practice those drills and get their finishing right, or they might have to wake up early in the morning around 5 or something and do something on the finishing. Because individually, if you don't work on it, it will be very difficult for a coach to do that at the first team level. And I've mentioned reasons. The technical team of Ghanaian clubs are totally understaffed, and therefore you cannot have that focus on departments or individual players like that. So I mean, it's a big problem, and it shows because this is a game where Hasselhoff should have won 4 or 5, and then we know that we've closed the chapter. I remember Chelsea beat Raja Casablanca 5-0 at Bekum Chelsea some 8 or 9 years back.
Yes,
and they still lost. They still lost by 3 goals. I think they lost by 3 goals or so in Casablanca.
Yeah.
Okay, so these North Africans, they are happy losing by 1-0 or even 2-0. You look at the demeanor of these Algerians, and they didn't look perturbed at all because they know, based on their strength, based on history, based on performance in their country, based on their home record in African club competitions, whether it's a new team, it's an old team, whether it's a top team in Africa, when they get back home, they are able to deliver, and they always do that. So at 1-0, there was no urgency in the Algerians game. They didn't look like they are even losing. They didn't look like they want to equalize. They were not interested in that. They were interested in preventing a lot of goals because they are very sure, so sure that they will deliver in Algeria. And so if you are a Ghanaian club or even a West African club, and you also know for sure that when you travel to these North African countries, you don't do well, then you have to finish the game off here. So I believe that in summary, even though it's a 2-0 lead, the chances that these forwards have wasted may come back to haunt us, depending on how Samuel Boadu decides to set up in Algeria. But I mean, like I said, it's a bigger problem that needs a very deep conversation to solve. The finishing, it's not as if it's a Hasbro problem. It's a general Ghanaian problem with even players abroad playing in top leagues.
Right.
So something, maybe if Boadu will take my solution, which is just a makeshift one, draw a program for them, let them do individual training on it, and then they psych themselves. They have to set targets for themselves, the forwards. They have to have some targets. Like I said, as a forward, you are judged by your goals and assists. And you have to set an appreciable target. For example, at least for a 34 game league, you should be looking at 20 goal involvement. Being a 10 assists, 10 goals, 15 goals, 5 assists, 10 assists, 10 goals. I mean, 20 goal involvement should be fine for an average, forward in a Ghanaian Premier League. But when they score 1, 2, 3, they feel is enough. I mean, I feel that they have to work on their psyche. They have to take good decisions when they get the chances, and then the technique to execute it. I think if they're able to do that, then they can make a bigger claim at being a top player in the Ghanaian Premier League.
Right then, let's look at the other problems that you identified today. I know it's just the way we've done the central defensive midfielders, but I think we're going to look at how the defense went about their business today. We saw a lot of Mohamed Al-Hassan, rushing in and trying his best, and then we saw some extremely nervy movements for some of the players that came in. Agent Mbwate, he scored the goal in the end. That was good, but when he came in, it was just. And again, I think Saoura as well needed a lot of time. Maybe at the latter parts of the game, he also could settle a bit. William Denchi as well. So, which other problems did you note for today?
Well, I think that I have to commend Saoura for his brilliant display. In the other episode, I mentioned that he did well against Ashanti Gold, and this, reinforces the point that the team should have been freshened up even before this encounter. Because you look at the performance of Saoura, and it appeared as if they had been playing for Accra for a long time. So, why was Samuel Boadu not refreshing the team with some of these players? Why was he not giving the chance to the likes of Salim Adams and co to play? Because after the Aswood game, he claimed that the team was tired. I don't buy that excuse. But if the team is tired, you have to act in a manner that suggests that, the team is tired. But he wasn't doing that. But if you look at Saoura today, was fantastic. His tackles, he was able to carry the ball forward at times when Salim Adam was smart and all that. So I have to praise him, I have to single him out and praise him for that. More on Hassan, there's nothing more to say about him. He was good at breaking the lines. And if you look at the goal, it was a fantastic pass to, Ansa Botri before he found the pass to Efie Bane and the goalkeeper. That's what Mohamed Al-Hassan is made of, breaking the lines. And he's very good at that. It was a brilliant vertical pass to Ansa Botri for him to, connect Efie Bane on that. So the defense did well. Denji also had an assist and all that. My problem, and that problem, was heavily exploited by, WAC in Algeria. In Morocco. Again, this week, there's been so much discussion about PSG. And George, you know why? Because the front three of PSG don't defend. And so it's giving Pochettino a lot of problems.
A lot of trouble,
so,
trouble.
In terms of his structure when they are defending. So, for me, I cannot understand why Accra has to focus with these forwards that they have. I'm not demeaning them, but these are forwards who cannot give you equivalence of what Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe can give you. I don't understand why they are not part of the team's defending. They don't defend. They are just stuck up the pitch. And so House of Folk basically defends with 7 players. That's a lot of arrogance. That's not, that's not stability. That's not compactness. For me, it's not compact enough for me. The forwards, are not so top. They don't have that ego for a coach to allow the team to defend so narrow with the 3 forwards right up vertically inclined with the midfield 3. That exposes the left back and the right back. And if you watch the last 10 minutes of the first half, there was a lot of overloads at Fatal's area. You could see Fatal with Salif Ibrahim closing in there, and about 3 Algerian players. Now, I'm saying that this thing or this structure will be exploited in Algeria if it doesn't change. Because, like I said, if you are playing in a 4-3-3, most of the coaches will change to a 4-4-2. That's if you don't want some of the forwards to defend. I remember Ancelotti when he was with Madrid with his 4-3-3, because of course Ronaldo will not come and do defensive duties. He had to defend in a 4-4-2. So he played, as a front three, Ronaldo, Benzema, and some maybe Vasquez. So when he's defending, Vasquez drops into the midfield to make a 4-4-2 so that you leave Ronaldo and Benzema up. So that's the worst you can do. That's the worst a coach should do. Pochettino is having problems because, of course, the egos of these forwards and maybe instructing them to defend will cause problems. But that's a bigger issue.
But clearly, Accra Hearts should not be having that problem. I mean,
no, at all. We don't
so what is your reading? What's the reading of the situation? What's the reading of the situation that the players have the ability to do it? Yeah, okay.
It's a tactic from Boadu because he cannot, as it were, give excuses that, for example, Pochettino will give. We don't have those forwards. We can't afford to defend with 7 players. That is out of the equation at all. That's not supposed to be mentioned. So he has to look at that. Otherwise, it will be exploited. And the Algerians I saw, and if they have a video analysis in the last 10 minutes, they will take note of this. And that's why I have to mention it. That perhaps somebody might mention it to Boadu, or Boadu himself will watch it. He has to take note and change the defensive shape into a 4-5-1 or a 4-4-2 at worst, one of the line, so that you're able to defend the central areas and defend the wide areas. Mind you, this is a team that has scored about 10 plus goals from set pieces in the Algerian league this season. Most of their goals are coming from set pieces.
Yes.
As you know. Yes. So if you're a team and you want to defend as narrow as Samuel Boadu did today and in the previous games, where you have 4 defenders, 3 narrow midfielders, and 3 narrow attackers, that's just playing into their hands. And we don't want to discuss a heavy scoreline coming back from Algeria. No, we don't want to discuss that again. So it's something that can be cured simply by instruction. This is not a difficult thing. Either 2 of the forwards drop in wide to protect the wide areas of the midfield areas and then the defense. So one of the forwards might defend with the fullback. That's maybe if it's Isaac Mensah, he defends with Salifu as a midfielder, as a right midfielder or right interior midfielder, and Fatal Mohamed. If it's Antabochi, if it's Isaac Barnier or Kofi Koji, they defend with Ansabochi and then William Denchu or Radio Voka, whoever gets the nods to play. So that problem has to be cured and has to be cured immediately. Right from the next training session, he has to take note that defending with 7 players will not work in Algeria. And we have to emphasize on the fact that it will not work. Even for top teams,
like you've made the point, like you have to, and because if Isaac Mensah and Barnier are not going and Kofi Koji, the 3 of them are not going to be tracking back, and let's say you want to assume that, all right, because from the structure, clearly you want to put Kofi Koji up front. Then whatever the case is, you can afford to do that with probably just 1. But if all 3 are not,
all 3 is a no-no. It's a no-no. Because
did you see any difference though when Esubontin came in? Did you see him going and applying himself around there? And what would be your suggestion if you're looking at going out there and putting in a shift that gives you the chance of having 9 men defending or 10 men defending? Because that is what you really need to do. 2-0 may be an interesting scoreline, but could easily go through the window if you
in the first 10 minutes. It can easily go out, as work has shown. So I think that it's a matter of instruction and not personnel per se. It's just a matter of instruction from Samuel Boadu to do that. Like I've suggested, either a 4-4-2 defensive shape or a 4-5-1 defensive shape. As for the 4-3-3 defensive shape and 4-3-3 in attack again, that's really won't work. That's a lot of arrogance there. You cannot defend with 7 players in Algeria and all that. So that structure has to change. And for me, coming back to the forwards again, I think that Esubontin should be given a lot more opportunity to play. Isaac Mensah, I've not seen the industry. He's not too enterprising for me. He's not creating chances. Yes, he can be a good finisher at times, but he's not doing enough for me. So that also has to be freshened up. I was impressed with the Phobia Barnier today. after the kind of bashing that he's received. I think when he was benched for the Ashanti game, he's learned something. So he's improved his play, but he has to improve the numbers as well. I mean, yes, he has assisted, but you have to be on the score sheet as a forward. Kofi Koji, he wasn't too imposing for me. A lot of the aerial balls, he was missing them. But for his stature, I believe that he's supposed to be flicking these aerial balls and so that, Barnier and Isaac Mensah can come for the second ball. So in summing up, I mean, it's a matter of instruction. It's not too difficult. Just get your men to defend in numbers. I think that I just remembered the game against Wafa can be an example for Samuel Buidu, because in that game, the team was very compact. The forwards were defending very well, and the team had, a relatively lower block than we've had in games as well. So I think that could be a blueprint for him to watch and see that, well, we are going to face the Algerians. In the game against Morocco, we were a bit arrogant. The headline was extremely high. We were not pressing. We were defending with 7 players. This time around, we want to defend more in numbers. We want to set up a lower block. And I believe that if he's able to do that, he can get a result. 2-0 is a very good scoreline. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. 1-0, 1-0 is even good, if depending on how you set up and play. But from the lessons in Moroccan game, I'm sure a lot of Hasselhoff fans are not too confident and all that. But 2-0 is a fantastic scoreline. It's a very good scoreline. That if you set up your team properly, you could be able to defend that in Algeria. Because mind you, the quality of this team is not as high as WAC. Okay, so if you're able to get your things right, in terms of your defensive structure, and there's a lot of emphasis for me because it's very easy for any team to exploit it. Because if I have seen this, a couple of others have also noticed this. I am sure, even like I said, the last 5 minutes to the end of the first half, the other team were overloading their left-hand side. And if they are overloading the left-hand side and you have your forwards not tracking back, that's a lot of space for them. They score from set pieces. And so, as a matter of repetition again, somebody has to cure that. Otherwise, he'll be laughing at the wrong side of the mouth again in North Africa.
Yeah, I think we've gone about it in terms of our business of getting things right. And it's good that the experience of WAC is really dawning on everybody to understand that the job is not done. It will be absolutely fantastic for the team to make it into the CAF Confederations Cup group stage after all the turmoil and after all the problems. It will be good to make it there and obviously try to keep in there. There's still some issues that need to be sorted out. Hopefully they can try and get in there. But just a few words from you going into the second leg. Now, you know all that we're supposed to do. You have a 2-goal advantage, which actually means that if you score a goal, they need to score about 4 goals, in return. But it could all go through the window because they will know that they have to score 3 goals and win by 3-0, or get the 2 goals and take this game further on. It's not over until it's over. What do you expect the coach to do? Now, you have made the point about the strikers, the attackers having to join when the team is defending. It's important. Yes, the strikers, for instance, always important, and you have 3 of them. They need to. What will be your fancy lineup? Now, I know the Salif Ibrahim picked the knock. I don't know how deep that is. Clearly, Salim Adams was doing his best. Definitely still warming up into the position, warming up into doing it. It's not easy I understand why a lot of them looked, lethargic and were stretched because they had to be doing a lot of running on all sorts of players. And Salim plays with his heart right under his skin. I mean, you can feel that he's giving his very all. And so there has to be a more organized approach. What would you recommend aside, the attacking issues?
The structure, okay. Yeah. So I think that for me, in terms of personnel, one change that I would love to see is Neti coming in. So I have to sacrifice one forward. I push Salifu up front and bring Neti in so that it becomes Neti, Salim, and Ansabuchi as a midfield 3, and then Salifu and Barnier for me to join the midfield 3 to have a 4-5-1 shape, and then you leave Koji up top there for him to try and find his way to bully the defenders and all that. So in terms of personnel, that will be my only change. Of course, Radio Vuka has to play. Radio Vuka has to play. Yes, save the fact that Denchi assisted today. nowhere near what Radi can offer.
See what Radi did in his few minutes on the pitch. You could see it. I mean,
exactly.
No,
I mean,
nothing against William Denchi. Denchi will give his all, but yes,
was quite clear. So those are the changes that I'll make to the team. I've already spoken about the defensive structure. I've spoken about the personnel. Now, one other thing is that they have to practice a lot of set pieces. In defending set pieces, I mean, not attacking set pieces, defending set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks. For example, they have to take note of the I think was it the second goal of WAC?
Yes, the second goal of WAC.
The free kick, yeah, where there was a player lying behind it.
Yes,
lying behind the wall. They have to take note of that because maybe they might be getting a lot of free kicks around. You have to take note of that. Take note of defending set pieces
and
take note of defending crosses. So if there's something that if there's something that Bodu has to focus on, a tactical point that he has to focus on this week, it has to be the structure that I've spoken about, defending with 10 men or at least at worst 9, or and then plus defending with 9 men, the personnel change, and then defending set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks, and then crosses as well. That's where if you can focus on that, because there'll be a lot of that. They'll be bombarded with that, of course. Let's not kid ourselves. They'll come at have to go from all angles and all that. So they have to be prepared to defend a lot of these set pieces, to defend crosses, and all that. So that's one thing that Bodu has to focus on as well in the training grounds. And if he does that, set up his team right, of course, he has to check the line. The high line might not be necessary.
Yeah, in this game, we lead by 2-0, and so
it's not necessary. He has to drop that into a mid block or a very low block. That's if he wants to be very, very defensive. Like I said, there's a blueprint against Wafa in Sokakope that he can look at. But nobody will think that he has to go there and push his line very high like he did against Wafa, because it was terribly exploited in Morocco, and I'm not sure he's going to repeat that. He's learned from that. So not too much, but just these few that I've mentioned that I think I would like Bodu to work on in this week's training grounds, and I think that it should be fine. It should be fine to get the results. Even if they are not able to get the qualification, their results has to be very respectful.
Yeah.
Maybe, for example, a 3-2 scoreline, aggregate scoreline will not be bad. Maybe a 4-3, something of that sort. Very close.
Respectable, yeah.
Or yes, something very close. Other than that, I think that we do have some questions to answer, because
we have
to learn from the Moroccan experience.
Yeah. And again, for the confidence of the boys, and you could see that the 6-1 really took a lot out of them, and it's still taking some time. Gradually, they're coming up, but then
exactly.
That's what's a heavy bash that does to you. So you want to be careful about it. And really,
most of them, I'm not sure I've seen such a defeat before.
No, I'm not sure. And especially where they were, and where they were. It's about where you have been, you won the league, and you're high flying, and all of a sudden move down.
Definitely a different opponent, different quality. They couldn't cope, but I'm sure they should be able to recover and psych themselves up. That we couldn't make it to Morocco. We went there with just a goal lead. This is not a better team. This is a lesser team in terms of quality.
Yeah,
and we are going there with a better goal margin as well.
And
so
everything
everything should be in the favor of us. And I think that's the plan. It's all about the plan. If somebody should get his plan right from after the game, he should be planning on how to play and plan to cure the problems. My only headache is the defensive structure, which is defending with 7 players. As for that one, he doesn't even need to think about it. He has to have decided already that I won't defend with 7 players. Yeah. And I'm sure something good might happen.
Thank you very much, Kofi Bolassie, joining us as well. And the numbers of the stadium were a bit dodgy. 10,000, but we didn't feel 10,000 today. Probably we're doing under 6,000.
The promotion of the game. I don't think we have to even go into.
We won't go there. But
the promotion was bad.
It was bad. Yeah. So
promotion for this game was bad. Nothing felt like we were going to play a Confederations Cup game throughout the week, and I was surprised. I was surprised at that inaction from the team. Hopefully, they can do better.
Yeah, they try to do that. Kofi is with Sports Law Plus, and if you have any problems, you want to check Sports Law Plus. Plus, he's also got Phobia News, phobianews.com. If you want to check out the news out there. So all the key things that you need, of course, we are trying as much as possible to bring you closer to the club. Because we know you love the club so much, and that's it. Despite all the unfortunate stuff that's happened this season. What a season it has been, so eventful. How many weeks already? There's so much to talk about. It's not, we're nowhere even, 1/3 or 1/10 of the season.
The last 4 weeks, it's been very trying for Accra.
Yeah.
Very, very trying. Yeah. And when the team is not doing well, there's a lot of blame. It's this one. It's ways and means. It's a management. The fans are not treated well. It's a board chairman. It's the shareholder. There's a whole lot of noise. Yeah. So when the wins come like that, everything is calm.
Everybody calm down.
Everybody's cool and collected, and the blame games, almost appears to vanish and all that.
Yeah. So we just put it here. Congratulations to the boys for getting the job done. Hoping that they can do it again, and then they come back and deal with the Ghana Premier League issues. There's a little season that is still rambling on, and so as you know, we're expecting the very best from what they do. Kofi, thank you once again for your time.
Well, it's always a pleasure to speak to you on Phobia and the tactical aspect.
Yeah, Phobia Tactical. It's what a lot of people love so much. Just to come back and check out what's it. So guys, go ahead, subscribe. You can share, and it's important that you. Make sure that you turn on your notifications because a lot more is coming from Kofi Bolassie and the team. So till we meet next week, we definitely have our pre-match. We'll have the match pack before that game in Algeria. I've been thinking whether I should go or not, but let's see. There's still so much luck in the right. Let's see how it goes with that one, and then we will definitely talk about what goes down there. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.
He always has a way of getting the ball into the good areas. Injecting some fresh legs into the game here. Denchi. Oh, lovely. How to focus. Score! The second goal eventually comes across the photograph. And I tell you what, it is Eddie Boateng who gets the second goal for Accra Hearts of Oak. Great cross there from the left full back.